What did people do for fun in the 80s and 90s? As a kid, teen in the 80s, ride bikes, go to the arcade, play sports in the street, just hang out in the street or in a friend's house. The same shit they do now, minus the internet. Roller rinks, sports, school and town, Boy Scouts, camping out, even in backyards, hide and seek for way too long, sleepovers and rent a few movies from Blockbuster, basement parties, drinking games, cards, dancing, and maybe see a few boobies. Those were my teen years, man. Sex, drugs and rock. I was a kid. We biked around the neighborhood a lot. Played football and home run derby. My parents took us camping 2 to 3 times a summer. We had pool parties and we rented movies and video games and ordered pizza for sleepovers. Then the Mind Flayer opened. This rift is space-time. It's a long story from there. Clubs. They actually had teen nights. Fireworks and fucking. Went outside to play or hang out. Everything mentioned here, yes. When I was a kid in the 80s, I'd go over to my friend's house in the morning and wait for his parents to go to work. They were the only people I knew that had a Ku-band satellite dish. It was 8 feet in diameter. Mounted on a concrete pad in their backyard. It had a linear actuator you could control from the set-top box. We'd fire that thing up, tilt it way over to the eastern horizon and watch naughty European movies. Boobs were a big deal to us then. Each other. Cocaine, lots and lots of cocaine. BMX. Movies. Neighborhood basketball. I rollerbladed a lot in the 90's. As an 80s kid, I played in the dirt. With Tonka trucks. There was also the Nintendo Entertainment System. And my dad put up a basketball hoop at the edge of the driveway too. Skating, rollerblading, riding bikes, playing outside, going to friends' houses. I was a teen in the 90's. The city I went to high school in was super small back then. We had to drive to the next city for groceries, and when I entered high school as a freshman in 1993, that senior class was the first ever to graduate from at the time. The city's only high school. I think they have like 8 now. On weekends we hung out either in the Jack in the Box parking lot, drinking Zimas, or go to Tijuana. I found out at a young age that I'd get served alcohol there because I had big boobs. I spent almost every weekend there from about 1993 to 1997. Ages 14 to 19. I was actually telling a friend all about this at a barbecue at my house this weekend. How the shit I did. There's no way can be done now, and I am so insanely lucky nothing truly bad ever happened to me. But yeah, that's what I was doing. Whoring in Mexico before whoring on the internet was a thing. Arcades, skateboarding, sports, partying, and fucking shit up. Drugs. Mostly. Stranger Things minus the paranormal stuff. Drank a lot. Attempted to meet women. If you're a guy. Hung out with your clique from HS and dicked around. Worked your ass off for a few shekels. In the 80s we went out 6 nights a week and danced with our friends and drank and did coke and other drugs and woke up in the apartments, houses of women we'd met the night before. And had sex with. I never thought I'd have that much fun in life. So much everything. Alcohol, drugs, and each other. Watch Mallrats and you'll get an idea. Have you posed this over in our Ask Old People? Inadvertently absorb the smell of malls and skating rinks only to remember them when life gets busy. Played a lot of frickin' Monopoly. Outside on a picnic table. Literally every day of summer. Go to the beach. Play on the train tracks. Go to the county fair. Jam with the console cowboys in cyberspace, https://www.youtube.com/watch. V = LTRO8W. Depended on how old you were. We were rocking the shit out of the Commodore 64. Hanging out on BBCs and playing Dungeons and Dragons. When we had a bit of cash, we were at the arcade. I played video games, read comic books, watched a lot of TV and movies, and hung out with friends, who were mostly the girls at school. I did have internet friends, but it wasn't like it is today. Because of my father's business, I had internet access in 1993, so I did have access to it. Primitive though it certainly was. But you really couldn't spend all your time online like you can do now. Parents didn't care where we were as much. So at friends' houses playing Super Nintendo, riding bikes and playing outside. As a kid, Blockbuster, video games, board games, go to a movie, play outside, at the park or in your yard, ride bikes through the neighborhood, go to the local pool to swim. There were arcades, bowling alleys, roller skating rinks, Chuck E. Cheese. In elementary school, my friends and I spent most of our time running around pretending to be cartoon characters. As a teen, honestly, I was a nerd with nerdy friends. We just had sleepovers and watched anime.